One sec. There we go. Oops.
Okay.
Okay.
So here's my home for Basecamp. And these that start with a 1, those are clients.
Okay.
And then I've got one just for you.
Okay.
And I've got one for this GovCon thing. And actually these probably should be underneath them, but I'm not going to worry about that right now.
Okay.
But
okay. So let me start off, if I can tell you.
Okay.
I think your buckets are too broad. So that's probably why you're getting lost.
Okay.
So what happens is, I can use my earbuds. Hold on, I'm yelling at you. One sec. I've got grandma-itis, which is where you start yelling at the computer because it's far away.
Yeah.
Because you're in Atlanta, so I'll talk loud. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. These should kick in any second. Yes, there we go. Okay. So what happens, we all do this, is you put them in big buckets, but that's kind of like, think about your clothes. That's like saying, well, here's all my clothes in one bucket, but we now need to have socks, pants, tops. All right. So what happens is, though, I think one to your strength is you do want to start off in a bigger bucket and then branch off as needed. So for example, when we started off with Win the Hour, Win the Day, we're like, okay, we need a new thing, Win the Hour, Win the Day. Now, let me back up for a second. I would say too, for whatever category you have, how we do it is we always have 2. We have a toolkit and then a working category. So we would have GovCon 2020 toolkit and then GovCon 2020, because the toolkit is setting up systems so that you can copy and paste and build on those systems, where the actual GovCon 2020 is a working folder. Does that make sense?
A little.
Okay, so let me show you my screen.
Okay. I'll stop share.
All right. These are great questions, and this is part of the process, and you're doing fabulous. So I'm really excited that these are your questions. This is a good sign. Okay. All righty. Okay, so a couple other little things too is you can pin something. So we always pin, these are divided by my team members. They have a job description and some of them have specific tasks. So we always have the team up here. We also have the toolkit. So you can pin them so that they don't move. So the pin ones are up front and then the other stuff is down there. So what would happen is, let's say for, let me just pick one, toolkit for Now Your Business. So what I have in here is, as we do it, we're building out steps. So right now, we're building out a step where when we market something, we start the process, send the email, reminder, whatever. So every week when we learn something new that we're prepping for our podcast, we can just add the step here. So add XYZ step here. Great.
Okay.
Now what happens then is, this is where the systems are, and we're always tweaking and saying, oh, I forgot to do that. Okay, add it to the system. Oh, we should take that out. We don't do that anymore. Okay, delete it from the system. Then when the time comes, we copy it and we move it to a new location. Oh, shoot, I just copied it in the same place, but that was a bad example. Okay, 1 second. Let us try that again, boys and girls. 1 second, go back here, toolkit. So when the time comes, we copy, hey, Google, cancel. And then we pick the new place that we want to put it, which is the working file, the working folder. Okay, so Now Your Business podcast. So those are the steps for me to market a podcast for any given week. Now this week, I need to market a podcast. So I'll put it in there. It goes to that page, the Now Your Business podcast page. It'll open up in a second, copy to this new location. And then I assign it to somebody. So that way our working document always gets improved upon, but it's somewhere safe. And when we need it, we copy it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that way, as you're building this out for GovCon, you're going to always be adding stuff to it and improving it. And then you can put that in the toolkit, but then you need somebody to do it. You copy and paste it and put it in their folder and say, hey, Sarah, can you do this? Hey, whatever. Now, do you also know And don't forget too, these are all in this video. You get access to this video as well. Take all the notes you want, but also know that we record this and they're in your academy and you can rewatch this video verbatim
Okay.
live. Okay. Now, do you also know when you go in here that you can assign, like in this case, different people will have different responsibilities. So I can go in and assign Sarah and Steve and do whatever. You know, you can change.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Perfect.
And so I've plopped all kinds of stuff into Basecamp, and a lot of them has gotten done, but it's not gotten done because I'm looking at the list and going down the list. Exactly.
Right. So the other thing I would tell you too is you have to know when the time is to break up the list. So for example, for us, we had win the hour, win the day, and then we were doing social media and that. And then we said, okay, we need to win the hour, win the day social media. But then sometimes there's other things we have to put in social media, blah, blah, blah. So we decided, you know what? We need a social media folder on its own so that it can blend in now your business, shadow blast, win the hour, whatever, right? Because there's different times we have to talk about different things. Not too much because you can't market multiple messages. So let me not, I just need to pre-qualify that. But what will happen is, or in this case, now your business podcast, this is all the work we're doing to prep the podcast. But then we decided it was easier just to have a folder for the guests. So when we have to do work for the guest, we don't want that to get all mixed up with the change the graphics, make a video, Chris your logo. So this folder, we just thought it was simpler. Post-production, only the stuff that goes with the guests goes here. So
Okay.
you might have a GovCon, you know, marketing folder, and you don't want to start just creating things and looking at the ceiling and saying, I'll come up with this. What you want to start seeing is when you're looking at the list, when things start growing on your list, like let's be silly and say you're making a grocery list. And then, you know, what will happen is say, oh, okay, I've got a lot of vegetables. I'll be in the vegetable aisle. Here's a funny story. Friggin' John, I didn't mind, but 14 times a day he lost his glasses and his 2 cell phones and occasionally his wallet. So I had the equivalency of a bloodhound. This was my job, to go around collecting things. So my favorite thing would, he'd go to the grocery store, 2 things would happen. He'd go to remember something and then you'd go to call him and you'd hear both his cell phones ring in the house that he forgot, which was fun. But the other thing he would do is he would call you from the store and say, I don't have your list. So then he would ask me to read the list off. Now he's lost the list. He's calling me from the store. Can you read it off in order of the store? I don't want to be going all over the store. I'm now in, and I'm like, oh my God. So now he's in the vegetable section and he wants, no, I'm not in that section. Organize a list for me and walk me through the store. Well, you know, I could have went myself now, dear, right? So what I would say to you is when you start seeing clumps that are interfering, like you might say, oh, I'm in here and I'm in GovCon, and all of a sudden somebody's looking for something and it kind of got buried with all the marketing stuff you're doing with all the individuals. So you might decide that your GovCon people or speakers have their own folder because there's so much going on. So when you start getting lost in it is a time to take a look at, you don't want to have 10 GovCon folders, but you might branch off an event that size and have 2 or 3. So you might have GovCon marketing, GovCon speakers, GovCon maintenance, I don't know, right? So that's what's happening is when the list gets too long, you're getting lost in your own list.
Okay.
Where else do we do that? And so here's another example. We had originally, now we took this social media folder that got too vague and we made it for Instagram, LinkedIn, and we made them all have their own folders. Now, why do we still have a general one? Because there's general strategies, but the interactions and the practices and the work we do every week is all now broken off into 3. So we took the social media, very few things go in here, but some do, and it's important. But that got broken up into Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn because it was just too much. And it got lost. We were all losing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Am I overwhelming you or depressing you? Your glow is dimming.
I think that it's still probably overwhelming.
It's always going to be a little outside your reach. We just had a team meeting this morning. Usually our meetings, a big meeting is an hour. And I ended up having a 2-hour meeting, which I don't even believe in. We took a break, we came back. because we are now going to be doing a very large push on social media for a couple of reasons. We're pushing the Win the Hour. Let me back up for a second. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff done for Win the Hour. We did that and we pushed it a little bit. Then we took a break. We did some more behind the scenes. We had a very specific strategy. Then we got a little bit of interruption. We launched the podcast. So now we're going back and we're going to be very aggressive moving forward with the Win the Hour stuff. We have a really sophisticated plan laid out for social media. And we had to stop today and reorganize ourselves and say, okay, look, we have to be active in all these groups. We have to drive traffic to our group. We have to do, there's all these moving pieces. And so we end up having an extra hour of a meeting pulling it together. So when you do stuff well, you're always every once in a while going to go, okay, that was great. I've got a lot of inventory now. I don't know where it goes. But when you have practices in place and you know the signs, you can say, oh, Chris, this was working. You changed my life. I was super excited. Everything was going well. And now you're going, whoa, but now what's happening is it's working. You're producing work. Things are getting done, which means you're producing more work. And now you're like at a different stage. You've never been here before. Now I have to corral all the work that I'm producing. Before I couldn't friggin' find my own phone number if my house is on fire. So I'm now over here. But what you're doing successfully is creating more inventory.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a one and done, but I will tell you, it does get easier. So before it was like a big, let's say, since we're talking grocery stores, let's say there's a big display at a grocery store and you would run in a frantic and grab a couple apples and the whole thing would just fall and the apples are rolling everywhere and you're trying to pick them up. It's chaotic. Now you're good, but you'll grab an apple and 3 or 4 will fall, but you're like, I'm okay. I know how to I'll put them back up on top. The old me, I'd be in a rush. I'd try to shove them in the bottom. It would knock everything over. So the hiccups are going to be smaller, less dramatic, less overwhelming, and they will get better and better as you move forward and you'll know the signs. So like I caught on this morning, okay, guys, things are getting out of control. We need to pull back and get this sorted out before it becomes a problem. So it's not ever, because of your own ambition, it's never going to be completely done, but it does get easier and easier. Also too, Jenny, if I can be your business therapist, you're traveling right now. So you're trying to really, that's not the same. So you're trying to go at the same level. And I don't care how good your laptop is, how good the hotel is. I do it all the time. And when you are naive and new at this, you think, oh, I'm going to have evenings. And like, especially when the boys were younger, I think, oh, there'd be no laundry, there'd be nothing to do. I'll have all evening to work. And then I'm on this freaking laptop and half the stuff isn't there that I need. And my elbows are hitting my boobs and I'm knocking things over. And you are at a deficit when you're traveling. And you also have now been traveling for almost 2 weeks. So I think emotionally that wears you down. Your resources are not there and you're trying to produce at the same level.
Right.
So you have a lot working against you right now. I'm just saying. That makes sense?
Yep.
And I think you're also tired. Are you tired?
Well, a little bit. It's like I had so many things that I wanted to be done with today. And I'm not. I was going to record some stuff today and I got my hair done. I got my makeup on and then it just didn't happen. So.
Well, the day's not over, is it?
I've got a 3:30 and then after that it's going to be kind of tricky to do anything, but maybe I can do something tonight. I don't know.
So what I would say is this: when you're traveling, you have to, I call it camping, and you have to act like you're camping and you have to say, okay, what do I have to get done? And let's be realistic and let's pull back. So, I mean, part of Win the Hour, Win the Day too is a mindset. And I talked to you about this last week where I used to do this as well. I would say, I'm going to show up for something. And I kid you not, I've showed up places like with a walking pneumonia or just, I mean, because I said I would get there. So I got my ass there and I checked it off. And then I got there. First of all, nobody wanted me there because I was so sick or something. And I didn't bring anything to the event because I just physically got my chubby ass there, but I was of no contribution to it. But I said I'd get there. So damn it all to hell, drag my dead body there. So sometimes your ambition and your commitment gets in your own way. And I said that to you last week. I said, let's be realistic. You know, if all these people are landing and you're not in your own home, you know, I can see you, as I said, being in the hospitals or taking IV going, I kept my meeting, Chris. Look, I want to feel good about myself. So you also have to know when to scale back when you're traveling a little bit and say, here are some things. So for me, when I was traveling recently, and I have to go again in friggin' like 5.5 weeks, that was one of the promises I made myself. I said, okay, we have to do videos every day, and I have to keep that commitment, because online consistency is huge. Content is second, consistency is huge. So the one commitment I made is I would get videos up every day, no matter what. Everything else was flexible. So I think you have to pull back and say, what is the one commitment I'm making with myself every day? Get that done, and be a little kinder to yourself, knowing that we can make up that time next week. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I feel like I really am just doing way too much anyway, and I just have to quit doing so much. But anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that's a good sign. I also think, you know, once you get settling back home too, I think as we dig through this, we're going to find some stuff that is really repetitive admin work that you don't have to be doing, and you don't have to be you don't have to be hiring somebody expensive to do
Well,
that.
yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. Like you could have a very inexpensive VA helping you with some really mundane stuff.
Right.
So I think that's our next leap for you, because the problem with that though is you have to be organized enough to give them work. They can't read your mind, but I think you're getting to a place now where we can work on that together.
Yeah.
So I guess I would say to you, don't beat yourself up. If the world's a perfect place, what I would like you to do, I would like to cut this meeting short and you get some videos done.
Okay. So could we look though at my Basecamp, the
Sure.
way I've got it?
Sure.
I think you have to give me back
Oh,
controllers.
stop sharing. Okay.
Okay. So here's an example. This is one of my clients.
Yeah.
And Joanne is the person that's working with me. And what I have been doing is putting things over here on to-dos. And we've got a lot of documents that are floating around. And so I was doing random to-dos and things like that. And then yesterday, or a couple
Hold
days.
on. Can I jump in? When you say documents, so to-dos and documents are two different things. Why are they all separate? Are these actual documents?
Well, so this is
A to-do.
We've got 3 or 4 companies that have sent us invoices that need to be coded.
Okay.
But what I'm wanting to do is make it so Joanne doesn't start anything until I tell her to start it.
Okay.
Because we're still in a training mode on things, and I can't have any more half-finished things.
Right.
And so what I'm doing is collecting these in this location, for example. And what I've been doing is I go in here, I identify what it's going to be so we know what it is in general, and I put it up for Thursday, and then I attached it, and then I'll have other invoices that I do so that each one of them would work. Okay.
Okay.
But we've got payroll to do, we have invoices to send out, we have all kinds of stuff. But like today, I said, I need you to do exactly this. And so I sent her a spreadsheet so she could download the spreadsheet, and she needed to completely do that so I'd know it was done. Because everything we do in accounting is a sequential.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And so then I also, what I have got right now is I've been not using Campfire or Message Board because I don't think that helps me.
No.
And,
I usually move docs and files up. We mostly use to-dos and docs and files. I move that up.
Okay. And so I've been ignoring down here for the most part. Okay. But what happens in here is sometimes I'll forget where we are. But I've been putting things that are permanent in here.
Right. That's what we do. Docs and files are just like, say for your account, we have your URLs or your like things that are permanent and information we need to have, not floating deadlines.
Yeah. So
Okay.
mainly under to-dos then, I could do it this way or I could do it the other way. It should have changed the view. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this payroll clearing, we do that every payroll cycle,
Okay.
but I want to make sure that every payroll cycle it gets done. So it's almost like a permanent or recurring to do.
Right.
And same thing here. But what I ended up doing the other day is I made this called my hot list, and then so that it's under this category, and then I made the list itself. And what I've been doing for the last 2 days and working with Joanne is I've got them in here and I've completed them.
Okay.
The reason I'm doing that is so I can say, yeah, we're going to have to do that, but I can't do it till we get certain information. And I'm not going to give it to her till I have that information.
So just so you know, what I might have done is made a to-do called Jenny's hot list and then put to-dos under a list, Jenny's hot list, and then put to-dos underneath that. Because my concern about here is you've got a list within a list with a list. And then also you can't check them off when they're done. So you don't know where you're at. Half of this could be done, half of it isn't. So I would have made that a list just for you. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, and what I'm having problems with is, well, here's another one that I had a problem with. I'm working on GovCon, and I can't figure out why down here under Docs and Files, why is this displayed this way and this displayed this way? Because what I really want is to see this document, but have a header. So
Because
I don't
that's a
know what I've
power.
done.
You put a PowerPoint in there. That's a PowerPoint.
So,
You've attached a PowerPoint.
okay. So here is, this is the exact location of the file.
Okay.
But see, it's not opening it in Google Drive right now, is it? I guess it is.
It's opening with Google Slides. Yeah.
Okay, so if I hit open with Google Slides, I'm actually in edit mode on this document.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I think that this should not even be in there, because if anybody wants to look at it, they should go up here.
Yes.
And I think what was making us happy was when we'd see this, we knew where it was. You know, this kind of made us feel good,
Okay.
but I should just delete it.
Yeah, because you should always just have links in there,
Okay.
because it gives you the false sense too when you show a slideshow that it's done, even though you can edit it. When you have a link, then we all know that everybody's going to that link. And so whoever made the last changes, we're all landing in the same safe spot. But when you put
Okay.
in slides and people are like, is that done? Can we
All right.
edit
So how
that?
do
Is
I
that,
delete this?
I think you right click or go up there, the
Oh, here it
three
is.
dots. Yeah. Archive, put in trash.
So what I'm doing now is I'm putting these in order so that I know where they are.
Okay.
But I've done different things, like, so I made a list of all the agency speakers. And what I'm doing is I go in here and put all the information about them, because some people need different information. And so I've got somebody that's going into our event management software and making sure these people have a seat. But what I want to do is, as I'm leading up to the event, I want easy ways that I can introduce these people to each other, or to produce something so that it's like I want this in here so I can real quickly say who this is the person you need to know, as opposed to doing it with the phone call or email. I want to make all of this stuff happen on LinkedIn because I really want to quit using email and phone.
Yeah. Yeah. So your
But some
client,
people, I need to have that because they may not be following, they may not be all out on LinkedIn.
right. Scroll up
So,
there a little bit.
so what I was doing with this number one means that's my first speaker that I've confirmed. Here's my second, because there's some people that I still need to follow up with to confirm. Like I've invited this guy, but I haven't confirmed, and I wrote down I need to call on December the 4th. Well, I don't know if I'll do that or not, but I've got all the information here in one spot.
So I think this is a good place where I think you need more steps. So what I might have is, because really, if we're doing this moving forward, the name should not matter. Like, it should all be the same. So it doesn't matter if it's Steve or Joe or whatever, right? So we might have a process here where it says speaker, whatever, speaker booked. Send confirmation email, send this, make sure he's got the blurb, make sure he's got the flyer, make sure his coupon works, make sure whatever. Here's his contact information. You could then have a separate doc when you say, okay, these are the confirmed speakers for this event, and you can have a document in there with all their names and their links for quick access. So we have a doc and we have a whole bunch of URLs for landing pages. So I might make a doc with that information so it's all on one page, and so it's effective and you can grab their links really quickly. But this is a lot of content under one category. So if you had speaker Steve and we've confirmed that he's got an email, he did this and that, and now you have to connect with him on December 4th, then that will say follow up and the date will be December 4th. So it will come up as a due date when you check Jenny's work or when it shows you your due dates every day. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but I don't understand how to do that.
Okay. So,
And I really believe strongly that what I've got here as these contacts is important or critical to me.
sure. No, and I'm
Okay.
not going to change that. So what I would
Okay.
say is, just to be safe, I would, except for the slideshow, I would hit Command A or whatever. I would copy the whole thing just so you feel good inside that document there. No, like you have to click on a word. No. Yeah, I guess you could do that. You could, no, I want you to click on the words. Well, no, because it will copy the whole to do. Go in and click on the words, double click a word, and then hit Command A. Because we want to copy the text. We don't want to make it another to do. So we want to scroll down and just get all that text.
And what are we going to do with this? I'm not understanding.
We're going to put it, so what I would say to you is this. I would take the information that's in there that's important to you, and because it's right now your master plan for the event, I would copy and paste it and put it in a document file so it's stationary and it's solid there, a master
It
file.
is stationary. It isn't a document file.
Oh, it is in a document file. Okay, perfect. My apologies. Okay, so let's go back to GovCon 2020. Let's make a new to-do list. Make a new list there. Now, ideally, I'd like this in a toolkit. It should be your master list, but let's work on it here. We can always move it afterwards. So what I would call this is whatever. What do we call it? Our confirmed speaker, something. Pardon me?
So I think what you were trying to say is it needs to be the steps that I would do with the agency people so I can repeat it.
Yes, but also not only can you repeat it, right now you've got too much information in your previous steps. So you're right. How are you supposed to find that you're supposed to follow up with that guy in December 4th if it's not a separate assignment? If it's not a separate to-do, it's just buried in a to-do and you're back to where you started.
Right.
So if you say confirm speaker and then you have the steps, and then you might say, you know what, this one this is all good, but then you add a step last week because he didn't get back to you, and you add a step, Jenny, follow up with him on December 4th. then it's going to come up in your activities when you look, oh, here's a due date, December 4th. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and so I'm thinking it should be called confirm agency attendees, but what it also popped into my mind is I just invited somebody else yesterday,
Okay.
and I think I have to go back to that agency list and add that I connected with him and invited him.
Sure.
So the other thing that I was not clear about on here is where it says add extra details or attach the file. I get confused about what's the name of a to-do list and what are the to-do items that go under it.
Okay, so here is just general information. Let me just think. I don't often put a lot. Yeah, I don't put a lot of stuff in there. This is just general in case you need to know something broad, but the to-do steps go underneath that.
Okay, so I'm going to add this list.
Yeah. And now,
Okay.
what are the steps? Invite. That's a good one. Invitation.
Check back.
Follow up. Yeah. Yeah.
Those are the main things right now.
Okay. Figure out how to run matchmaking. What's matchmaking?
So on the second day, we're going to have a matchmaking thing where the agency people get to meet with attendees, and it's kind of like a 10-minute.
Okay, so just so you know, so this is going to be a blueprint moving forward that anyone can do. So we're not going to figure out how to do anything here. You might say, get flyer made with their info, send flyer, confirm flyer is approved, follow up with them. So these are to-do lists, not a very clear and direct plan to confirming. So we're not confirming anything with figuring out how to run matchmaking. That's not a confirmation. That's not dependent on whether they come or not, right?
Right.
So it might be create flyer, get approval.
I'm not going to create a flyer. I need to add them as listed speaker. Okay. And by that, I just mean, like on the website right now, I say I have people coming from Department of Homeland Security,
right?
But I haven't put their name.
Okay. So let's for a second go back to home. Up there in the top, home, top left, home. And then let's create a new project, go down and create a new project. No, yeah. And we're going to do GovCon Toolkit. Hit save. Now you don't have to do this. I like to put a pin in those so the toolkits are at the top and they don't get mixed up. So go to those three dots in the top hand corner. Yeah. And put a pin in this project. So that way it won't get mixed up. See there? Okay. And then this is kind of backwards what we do, but if we go back into the GovCon where we just were, GovCon 2020. And now go to that confirm agency attendee. Now what we're going to do is go to those three hamburger bars on the left beside the name, and nope. By the name, confirm agency attendees. Go to the top by the green, yeah. And then go copy. And then go to that GovCon 2020 bar, and we're going to hit Toolkit, GovCon Toolkit, click there. And we're going to copy to that new location. Usually it's the opposite. You're copying from the toolkit to there. So what this happens is now you've got this toolkit, and every time you think of something that you have to do, you can add it to any aspect of building it. So frankly, you're building something that if this goes the way we plan, you could sell this in 5 years. You can say, I don't want to do it anymore. I make enough money off the back end. I'm going to take 25% of everything you sell, but here's the toolkit to run this event. Okay. This is the best part. Now, what happens when you go back into GovCon, then you can add stuff like, oh, it's not nearly a toolkit, but I have to follow up with this guy on December 1st. So we'll go back into the regular GovCon one. We'll go into GovCon 2020. And we'll go to that to-do list, the confirm agency attendees. And we're going to edit this one right there, click there. And point at the screen that you can't see, the red one. And then we edit the top right-hand corner, hit the three bars, yeah? And what I do is just then put a forward after attendees. I put a forward bar. You can do whatever you want, a dash, whatever. And then I put the person's name. So in this case, it's whoever. Give me a name of somebody that you're still working with in this capacity. One of the speakers. Okay, so now we know everywhere we are with Rob Black. Has he got the invitation? Yes, you can check that off. Has he got this? No. Okay, do I have to follow up with him on December 4th? That's when you say, follow up with him, Jenny. And I talk to myself like I have amnesia. Chris, exclamation mark. You better follow up with him. Then I put the date. Then I put why. So that way it's here, because right now what's happening is you are doing amazing. You took, it's almost like a hoarder. You took everything that was in your garage and it was all just dumped in there. And now we've got it in separate corners, like here's my sports equipment, here's my clothes, but now your clothes pile is still too big. So now we need to break it down and say, here's my jeans, here's my shoes. So you've made great gains, but as you do that, you still need to finite and break it down a little bit more. So if you had a list like this for every person, then you could see exactly where you are with that person, because when you put all that information inside the details, you have to go in and reread it every time to know what's there, and that won't help you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but now I'm very confused about so it seems to me that I should have a big group that says confirm agency attendees, and then under there, the confirm agency attendees Rob Beck, confirm agencies attendees Chris Harrington, confirm agency attendees whoever else.
You could do that too. You could have it's your game, but I do like how you're thinking. So what you're saying is you're taking the concepts that I've just given you and you're saying, okay, actually we're at the point now, Chris, where I think I can have one list of all the ones underneath that. So this might be the preliminary list when you first started in September, but now you're further along. So you could do that. You could have, here's my list of the names.
Did you have me do copy?
Yeah, we put it back in the toolkit, but you can just archive it if you don't need it. What is it you want to do?
Well, what I would want to do is, while I'm understanding it and before I forget it, I would want to do this for all 8 attendee speakers.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I have somebody else helping me.
Right, no problem. So go, yeah. So what I would do, you can copy from here or the toolkit. Here you just have to backspace and change the name every time, or you can go from the toolkit, whatever you want. So hit copy. This is probably quicker. Copy. And then it's right in the same one. Copy to this new location. It's in the same one. You don't need to do it. So there it is. You go up there, you have 2. Go back up the to-dos. I always just like to make sure so I'm not going crazy if there's 2 of them. Scroll down. Yep. So then just change the name of one. Hit edit.
I got to find him because he's the one that I just thought of.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that I understand what you're saying. I just got, it's like, I just need time to do this and I just need time to do everything. And I just want to beat my head against the wall. Like I'll never
But
have time.
well, it's not just about time though, Jenny. To be fair, you're traveling. It's not the
Hmm.
same amount of time. Like you just, they're not the same.
Yeah.
You know, it just is what it is. And that's just the
Well,
way
I
it
think the
is.
other thing is I could get an admin to come do this, and I've got people that I could get to do that.
Yes.
To go from
That's the
one list and
thing.
create the subsets.
One of the things you do have to learn, and this is where VA could come in, where we could get somebody helping you. You could come up with this idea, and this is what I would be doing. I would then say to my assistant, okay, see this, I decided I need a new list for everybody. I made one. I want you to copy all 6 of them and change their name. And it's really hard. Sometimes I even get excited about organizing it, like, oh, I could do this and it'll look good, and then it'll be clear in my mind. But I have to stop and say, even if it took 15 minutes, 15 minutes times 6 things in a day adds up. So then I would be
Right.
handing this off to my assistant. I would shoot a quick little video and say, this is what I want. Make 6 more of these. You know the names, add them. And then, oh, at the top, add a list with all their names under one thing. So I think, God help you, you're realizing the power of you not doing everything, that you're the visionary, not the executor, and that these are mundane, repetitive tasks that somebody else could do. So,
Yeah, and it's like I've got to have enough of a vision to understand it for them to understand it. The other problem that I run into is when I try to get people to help, they won't get it done, or I'll get to a Tuesday or something like that. And by Tuesday, it's like, that's just not going to work for me.
but, and I say this with kindness,
Right.
it's, you can't take chaos and add new people to it and think it's
You're
going
right.
to calm anything.
You're
So
right.
you're getting away from the chaos, and now you're getting the clarity in here. And so now you're starting to see bite-sized pieces of, look, oh, I can do this and I can give somebody else this. But in the past, there's no sense talking about old Jenny because she lived in a different world. And
Hmm.
it took you like months and months to explain all the things you wanted to do to me. And then you were this big relief. Oh, somebody finally gets me. No, I just kept asking enough questions until I got what you were trying to do. So now where things are being segmented, now we can farm that out for a low price. We can get this done and you can get things. But in the past, you just had a big clump of stuff. You didn't even know. You couldn't find your own emails. You were missing appointments. How many appointments did you even miss with me? So you can't be
Right.
annoyed that you didn't have a hiring process, hired the wrong person who couldn't read your mind and couldn't find what you couldn't find.
Right.
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 So, it's only going to get better.
Okay.
Right.
Well, yeah, so I know what I need to do. I don't know when I'll have time to do it. And so this is what happens is like I get very frustrated because I need to get this done, but I need to do videos.
Well, it
You
will
know, I
get better. And again, you're still traveling. But the first thing I would do, this is how I would do. I treat yourself like you have amnesia. I would go into that to-do list right now
Mhm.
and I would make a note to Jenny and I would say, Jenny, you are wanting to make 6 lists of everybody. You could just call it a random list, random. And make in the notes, say, Jenny, you've already done 2. You want to do 6 more, and talk to yourself like you've got amnesia.
Okay.
And put a due date on it or it won't show up as well. Put your name and a due date on it.
Right now I'm putting everything on Thursday knowing
That's fine, as long as there's a date, so that it's harder to find them without a date. So what I would say right now is we're just trying, sometimes you just have to glide through, like, okay, I'm traveling, or there's Christmas or whatever. You just have to say, I got to get through this, whatever. Why did we put Melanie's name on it? Oh, that's something else.
because I can get her to do it. She's helping me with this. And if I go ahead and get her started in the flow,
Okay.
Um,
Well, just, I don't want to pick on you, but if I was Melanie, those would not be very clear instructions to me.
yeah. Well, she's done this with me before, and I've got her,
Okay, as long
she's
as you got a
registering
plan.
the people, so I may have to tell her something more, but I'll deal with that
Okay.
later.
Yeah, so no worries. Just in the future, if you can, try to make the notes more clear, because even they used to come back to me and say, I'm sorry, I have no idea what I'm talking about here. So I try to
Yeah,
make the thoughts complete. And what I would remember again is that you are traveling, things will be different. And also, now that you're seeing some clarity, we can look at, either right before or after Christmas, getting you someone even 4 or 5 hours a week, a virtual assistant for like $5 an hour just to do stuff like this. You don't
oh,
need to
that'd be
have,
great.
you don't need to be paying someone $20 an hour to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Okay. All right.
I
You're
like
doing
how you're
awesome.
thinking.
Pardon me?
I like how you're thinking.
Thank you. It beats when my mother used to say, "Where was your mind?" Um, okay. So you're good for 3 o'clock tomorrow.
Correct.
Okay. Rest up. Do your best. You are
Okay.
making progress. Things are going well. It's all good.
All right. Thanks a lot,
All right.
Chris. All
Bye.
right. Bye-bye.